I looked at it like this. I was like, man, we don't holler about or at least I don't. I don't really holler about the referees because, like we said, that's the human element part. And I get it, man. Yeah, you could make some cases one way or the other. I do. But the one thing I will say is this, man. At the end of the game, you still just have to execute better. And some of those calls, granted, we can question where they necessary or were they ticky tack or did you miss another call prior to that call? And I think that both of those things can be accurate, but the calls that they did make, I do feel like they were accurate. The Eli Apple hold on the third down attempt, like, yeah, he did hold him. Like, you can't do that at the break point. The Joseph Asai, and I feel bad for the kid, even though he's a Bengal, is like, I don't really rock with y'all, but I do feel bad for him because like, he played a dope game. But it's like, yeah, man, you can't push the quarterback when he's 2 feet out of bounds like that. And Mahomes is going to do what he's supposed to do. You got to sell. That's what you're supposed to do. And he gets those calls because of who he is, and rightfully so. We will be doing the exact same thing, expecting those exact same calls if it was Kenny Pickett doing that. So it's like, I get it. And I do feel like that was the right call. But if you're Cincinnati, you just got to understand how to execute better and not shoot yourself in the foot. This isn't the first time this happened. We remember the game that we got out of that stadium against them in the postseason. It was a lot of what? Them having the added self-inflicted penalties, and that ultimately put us in position to win. So for Cincy, man, they'll learn from it, man, and, go from there. But yeah, that was one of those ones where you could definitely see where the Chiefs, it just looked like, you know what, they've been in that moment before and they just didn't make the mistake. Whereas when you look at Cincy, they were the team out there making those mistakes.
I just feel like there needs to be a common sense period. You have a moment like that. Yes. Can we just all step back like the refs?
I wish,
step
bro.
back for 30
wish.
seconds or a minute.
I
like,
wish.
Hey, are we really going to put 15 yards on something like ticky-tacky like this?
Seriously.
Really? Are we going to take
really
it from
hurts,
a 60-yard field goal to 45-yard field goal?
That's the part where you're just like, it sucks. But at the same time,
dude, barely touched him. You know what I mean? There was nothing malicious about it.
I hated the call.
That was bad,
I hated the call for the game. I hated the call as a defender. I hated the call for Joseph because I'm watching him rush and I'm watching him chase all the way across the field. I'm watching Trey Hendrickson get held on that exact same play. And I'm like, bruh, you don't call this one. We let the play extend. Joseph does a heck of a job to make sure that Mahomes has to run out of bounds. And because he was running like that, and he obviously, I've been in that position, man. When you chase across the field, bro, and it's a big moment, you want to get hands on a guy in any way, shape, or form. You want to make sure, man, because how many times have you seen it where you might take that foot off the gas, but now that guy gets the extra yardage? So it's like, I get it, I understand it, but that's where you really just have to be locked in on the details, man. And yeah, like I said, it's just unfortunate for Joseph, man, but he'll learn from it, man. And that team, man, hopefully, well, not hopefully they bounce back from it, but you know what I mean. Like, if they weren't the Bengals and it was another team, I would say that they should rally around this and ultimately grow from it and learn from it and use it as motivation. But since it's Cincy, I hope that it's terrible. I hope that it tears the team apart and they never win another game. So there we go.
There just needs to be a common sense law because the letter of the law or the letter of the rule, right, that technically is. Yeah. But there's a bunch of other shitty calls that happen too by the letter of the law with these
and it's too
roughing the passers that have been happening.
And the fact that they get to pick and choose on those type of plays what call they want to make.
Yeah, they could have had a no call there. I don't think anyone would have complained.
A no call would have worked, or you call on both. The holding penalty on their left tackle and the roughing the passer or the unnecessary roughness right there. And you traded as like, all right, we're going to watch that joint, replay it down. And you could have won it with that and been fine. But it's just like for you to neglect this penalty, call this ticky-tack penalty, and at that stage in the game, essentially giving them the victory, that's the part. And then when you look at them kick the field goal, it's like, bro, would he have hit from 50? Would he have hit from 55? It didn't look like it had this like crazy amount of leg on it.
Yeah, I wonder if he changed his kicking style for more accuracy or not. But
right.
Still, I think that would have been a 60-yarder.
Absolutely, which makes it interesting. And we know Harrison Buckner has a leg, but we also know that his accuracy has been tripping a little bit, and it was freezing cold out there. Absolutely. So it would have at least made it interesting. But
because that's whenever I said at the intro, those games left more to be desired. That was a really good game. Mm-hmm. Bengals Chiefs, really good game. Mm-hmm. But the ending was terrible, and I felt like that game either deserved a 60-yard attempt from Butker or overtime. That's what that game deserved, not a 45-yard, what seemed like a chip shot. I know Chiefs special teams, you still got to execute. Butker's still going to make the kick. But still, man, that just felt like, hey, free 3 points, you win the game.
And even to take it back, you know, when you go to the final series for Burrow and some of the stuff that was happening on that, and it's like, all right, how ticky tack are we gonna call this stuff on both sides? Because it's like, man, you got footage of a Chris Jones hitting Joe Burrow super late on some of this stuff, and it's like they not calling that. So I get why people complain about the officiating, but I will say this, man, Cincinnati still had multiple opportunities prior to that happening, man. They had that ball, the one where they threw the pick.
Yeah, Burrow didn't play his best game.
Yeah, he had the opportunity. Now, it was crazy when he hit it the other side with Jamar Chase, that same little route versus that same defense on 4th and 6. It was electric. He came back to it the following, or was it 2 series later, and they threw the pick on it. So
yeah, it was a hell of a play. That was Cook, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Cook tips it, and then I forgot the kid that caught it. But like I said, man, for both, it's like, man, you had the opportunity. You did. And it was a matchup that you liked. You had T. Higgins. We know T. Higgins can do that. And T. Higgins was already balling in the game as well. So to me, I always say, like, one call doesn't make or break a game. Does it have an impact? Yes. Is some plays weighted a little bit heavier than others? Yes. But to me, if they don't throw that pick, stretching the field to T. Higgins, and they actually are able to move that ball and score a touchdown, we're not even having this conversation. It's a different conversation. So that's the part with football. We always say one play doesn't make or break it, and that is just another example of that. But, you know, it's the Bengals, so bump them, man. We ain't tripping on them. Yeah, hope you feel real sad. I know how sad I felt when we lost in the AFC Championship. I hope you're miserable. I hope you can't sleep. I hope when the Super Bowl comes on in 2 weeks, you want to throw up and rip your eyes out, because that's how I felt.